Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I want us to start this analysis in this dimension. First of all, we have to reason very well that Raila is also a human being and he needs also time to relax. I've been listening to the kind of speculations on why Raila went to UK. Of course, there is political aspect of everything that these politicians always do. And in fact, even in this analysis, I'm going to tell you the very secretive political deductions or the inferences that actually I made out of Raila's sudden visit to UK. But the good thing is always knowing that Raila is also a human being, ladies and gentlemen. He also needs to relax. This man is at that age where if he is overwhelmed with these political activities, remember every time Raila is in the country, he never gets time to relax, okay? Every meeting, one time, two time, goes on and on. He doesn't get time to relax. They can actually, affect this man emotionally. So at times, as a human being, as a man who is actively involved in serious events, he needs to go and relax. And as you always, these bourgeoisies always have, time outside. That is what Haruki Murakami says, Now, let us come to the politics of it. They always say that there is nothing that happens in politics out of a mere coincidence. And whenever you see Raila makes moves, and by this one, it was kind of raising the eyebrows. Because even at the time that he was at the airport, leaving, he met the US Senator, Chris Coons, and even went ahead and posted. And you remember the previous day, Coons met, the head of state, William Ruto, in the presence of the US Ambassador Meg, And when Raila was addressing the devolution conference, definitely we saw how things went down. So when he was meeting Chris finally, he shared good moments on how they interacted and caught up and promised that, the kind of engagements he always gets to have with Chris Coons is always very productive and fruitful. And you can always tell when Raila is always happy with the conversation. There could be something that they discussed further which attached to what Coons and the team actually talked with William Ruto. Because everything as they stand right now is very significant. And to say the very most, we are going to have the bipartisan talk resuming. And if you hear the way the two camps are giving out their reviews, they are very contented. They are very happy. You look at Opole and I, who was asked, how do you see things going? He said, I'm very happy. I think things are so good. You look at Kwanza camp, Kimani Ichung'wah being asked, how are things going on? How are you expecting the next meeting? They are very happy with everything. The last time Raila went to UK, he went to UK when he had been endorsed as the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya presidential candidate. And the kind of itinerary of, like what you can say, the to-do list which we were told, he had high voltage meetings, okay? He was to meet high voltage people. And they kind of brought in an aspect of how they would drive Raila's political mileage in as far as the elections were concerned and how Raila was to approach it. One of the deductions that this trip is revealing to us is that, the possibility of a good outcome of the bipartisan talk is so high. The possibility of them not, probably going back to the street is so high. The possibility of any political hindrance in this bipartisan talk, is so low. I know one thing for sure. If there is a time Raila managed to create international networks within the umbrella of him being at peace with the government, then it was at the time when Uhuru was the president. In fact, Uhuru gave Raila Odinga a lot of avenues to get into the international network, meeting high stakeholders, representatives from all nations, courtesy of the handshake that they had with Umaru Kenyatta. Now, in this case, when Raila says that he's going to meet friends, when he says that he's going to even meet the business community and the people who are business centered in the UK, definitely it is all about the networks that this man is going to create. And these networks are going to be so much instrumental in any futuristic activity that he takes. We are not seeing something like, an indication of a deadlock. We are not seeing something, we are not even hearing that there is a possibility of the talks meeting an encumbrance even in the slightest manner. So when everything is smoothly running, when you are hearing leaders not very much aggressive with how things should happen, but we are only hearing good reviews that, all right, we will be meeting and everything is well embraced, everything is going to be well taken care of, it brings in a political relief. Remember the formation of the agreement which actually brought in the likes of Peter Kenneth. At that time, that is also the time when Raila went with Atuli. You remember the time Atuli was so much powerful and could just say something and it happens like that. They went and formalized kind of a force that drove Azimio. So I see this as something also that is going to rejuvenate Raila's kind of move in the next step that he will take based on the outcome of the bipartisan talks, all right? And he's not just going to meet the people we've been told by Dennis Onyango, the spokesperson, he's not just going to meet the family members. He's not going just to meet Kenyans living in the UK. There are high voltage meetings that he kind of will take. And this is where the international network comes through. If you want to know the time when Raila created more international networks, is the time he had handshake with Umaru Kenyatta. Because Umaru Kenyatta gave him an avenue to expand his territories with high stakeholders, high voltage leaders, people who can have a voice, people who can streamline things for, the future. And you talk of the politics of it, they can actually shape the politics. Some of the political pundits have hinted out that, he's also going to meet Umaru Kenyatta. And you remember the time Umaru Kenyatta, relieved himself from, the Kenyan activities. He said he's going with his families to just take time off, just relax abroad and just have time cool down the temperatures that were very much fiery and were being orchestrated by the government. So, Raila, being a man that is still under his umbrella in as far as their political moves are concerned, perhaps they are going to story 1, 2 things about any discourse that will come ahead. We heard that it is also Uhuru's hand being very key in, the involvement of the former president of Nigeria, Olusegun Obasanjo, meeting Raila Odinga and William Ruto in Mombasa. You remember that deal of Mombasa? Definitely well. There were leaks, very concrete leaks, very valid leaks that Umaru Kenyatta actually got involved in how these two leaders can talk. And before he left, you saw him coming out publicly, well groomed, well jovial, and was setting kind of a scenario where, is the man that they always say, the man in the middle, the man who is kind of making everything work well for the better. So when these political pundits are saying that Raila could be going to US to meet Umaru Kenyatta, maybe they have 1, 2, 3 things to chat over, it could be true. It could be definitely true. And that will be the political angle that would maybe bring in something that will also help Raila Odinga in the next step that he will take after the results of the bipartisan talk. Otherwise, remember Raila Odinga, the team only gave 1 month, and they gave the month of August. August is almost ending. So if Raila goes to rest and to get some fresh air, when he comes back, he takes the bull by the horn from wherever the bipartisan talk shall have reached. If it is a good outcome, then they will flow in the current. They will know how to spice up things. If it is a bad one, he shall have been rejuvenated. They will know how to start or to resume what they stopped. Ladies and gentlemen, what do you think from their side? And let us meet in the next analysis. May you have a great time.